So the polls are looking really good. And this poll, this is we'll get to this later, but this poll that was just put out by WBUR, which is the basically Southern New England, Boston-based NPR regional station. This is significant. This is putting Bernie with a 12-point lead and Biden falling to third by a couple points behind Buttigieg. And then we have Warren at 13. We have Klobuchar at 6. We have Gabbard at 5, Yang at 5, Steyer at 2, Bloomberg at 1, and former two-term neighboring governor Deval Patrick at 1. And this is interesting because I would say here, not only is Bernie opening it up, but if Gabbard and Yang don't stay at 5%, and those votes go, and those voters vote, I'm assuming those would probably go to Bernie. If there's 1 or 2% of Warren voters that are committed to some type of actual sort of progressive agenda, and they see the tea leaves, they'll break for Bernie too. So this is very encouraging. And it comes on the heels of this argument that they're having about Social Security, which is incredibly important. Now, and Sam outlined this very well yesterday. For decades, Joe Biden has advocated for cutting Social Security and Medicare. He flirted with a balanced budget amendment as well. He has been somebody who has, along with building his political brand in the 1980s by assembling the prison industrial, being a major assembler of the prison industrial complex, an architect of the war on drugs and other class and racist prison and policing policies. He was somebody who really wanted to prove his bona fides by being a Democrat who was willing to immiserate American seniors and assault the legacy of the New Deal. And again, Obama and Biden put vicious cuts on the table, which the only reason they didn't go through was because Republicans, didn't want a deal that was 75% on their terms. They wanted 100%. And, ideally an apology for Obama being African-American, right? Like this was the Republican Party that they were dealing with and obviously we're still dealing with. These are some Google search terms, which they've stayed steady. They spiked, January 18th?
Starting January 18th. Yeah. But the story stayed alive. Biden, Social Security. And what's also interesting, if you look at the sub-region trends, District Columbia is number 1, obviously. Then Vermont. Iowa, number 3. Oregon, Delaware. Then we go to the next page. Number 6 is New Hampshire. So
these are great. And look, I mean, it's great because, of course, I think heading into the last, couple of weeks here, and Sanders and Biden arguing about Biden's history of advocating cuts to Social Security when Biden's strongest demo is older voters, great. Secondly, it matters. It's important policy. We need to not only not cut it, we need to expand it like Bernie Sanders advocates. And third, this is going to be a big problem in the general election, but maybe a little bit less of a problem than I had thought a couple of weeks ago or even a couple of days ago. And of course, another huge opportunity if we're wise enough to nominate Bernie Sanders. In 2016, Donald Trump had the sense to lie his ass off about Medicare and Social Security. We're not going to cut it. You can't cut it. Now, anybody who knew anything knew, of course, A, he's lying. And of course, Donald Trump is fundamentally untrustworthy on everything besides racism and personal enrichment. But also Paul Ryan himself, who was his whole purpose in public life was give money to rich people, immiserate middle class, poor, and working people. And he said in 2016, don't worry about what this guy says on the campaign trail. We're going to have the same congressional agenda. And of course they did with the massive wealth giveaway in 2017 to the rich, which Trump still brags about. And they have been trying. They tried to gut the achievements of Obamacare. And of course, Medicare and Social Security have steadily been on the chopping block, as well as, vicious policies towards food stamps, which the Trump administration has also pushed. So this is an enemy of working people because Donald Trump is a Republican. And it seems now, and we'll listen to some of the, the gibberish and nonsense mumbling here from Trump. in this clip on CNBC. But the major takeaway of this is that Donald Trump now sounds a lot more like Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan, which is both more transparent, should be obvious to everybody, and it's a great electoral opportunity for someone with a clear record on Social Security. Could be a major political advantage. If you nominate Joe Biden, you're going to muddle it the hell up because Donald Trump will lie and lie and lie and lie and lie and lie. The press won't cover it properly, and Joe Biden's record's compromised. Now, Bernie Sanders, with a clear record on Social Security, and yes, I know they dug up some quote from the mid-'90s where Bernie said the program might need some adjustments. Bernie Sanders is definitely almost 1,000% talking about lifting the cap on wealthy people getting taxed to fund Social Security. Or
more generous inflation adjustments.
He fought against chain CPI when Obama proposed it. He fought against every single deal to cut it and has been on record supporting and expanding it. So please, let's not do the bullshit. This could be a good Bernie campaign ad.
I dare. One last question.
Go ahead.
Entitlements ever be on your plate?
At some point they will be. We have tremendous growth. We're going to have tremendous growth. This next year, it'll be toward the end of the year. The growth is going to be incredible. And at the right time, we will take a look at that. You know, that's actually the easiest of all things, if you look, because it's such a big percentage.
You're willing to do some of the things that you said you wouldn't do in the past, though, in terms of Medicare?
Well, we're going to look. We also have assets that we never had. I mean, we never had growth like this. We never had a consumer that was taken in through different means over $10,000 a family. We never had the kind of things that we have. Look, our country is the hottest in the world. We have the hottest economy in the world. We have the best unemployment numbers we've ever had. African American, Asian American, Hispanics are doing so incredibly, best they've ever done. Black, best they've ever done. African American, the numbers are incredible. The poverty numbers, the unemployment, and the employment.
I don't know if does he think African American and black are different things? I don't know. That's his stat. We don't need to hear the rest of it. I mean, obviously he's just going to go on and ramble on. But this is a good preview of the general election. If you're Bernie Sanders, you can seize on that and run circles around him because absolutely, as it is always the case with Republicans, Social Security is on the chopping block. But Social Security could definitely also be on the chopping block with Joe Biden. And then the second part, when you start getting into a game about the economy, it's going to take somebody like Bernie Sanders to say, well, let's get real here. Skyrocketing inequality. Millions of Americans working multiple jobs just to survive. A new temp economy, which is downwardly mobile, low paying, healthcare, more and more out of reach for people. This is the real state of the economy. And by the way, this was the real state of the economy that you lied about doing something about in 2016. If you're, Biden, again, it gets more tricky because what are you going to do? You're going to say, well, look, yes, Obama did. He got us out of the recession and so on. But the bragging of the Obama record is more analogous to what Trump is bragging about, right? Which is that there is conventional economic growth. There has been for several years now. Now, of course, we could go into recession. We could have, there could be major economic problems on the horizon. But you need somebody with the credibility to talk about the real state of the economy for most people in this country. And it ain't so rosy as most people know in their actual experience, regardless of the numbers. So I would love to, instead of running against 2016 economic con artist Donald Trump, let's run against Republican establishment Donald Trump. Let's run against Mitt Romney, except bloated and with weird skin and odd comments about his daughter. I'm into it. I'm ready for that race. Let's run it.
Right this way,
Why attack Sanders? Why? You're getting nervous, man. Calm down. It's okay.
Shut up, Vic Berger.
Shout out, Vic Berger. Capping off the closing argument segment on the before as we rocket towards Iowa and New Hampshire here.